Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes have landed 3 more transfers in the trenches, and I'm excited about all of them. Let's talk about it.
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Buffs. I'm your host, Kevin Borba. Today's episode is brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast. So thank you for making me your first listen of the day. Thank you for making us the #1 sports podcast network in the business. We're going to be talking about the transfers that are coming in, the transfers that are going, and who's next. I think Colorado has a few more transfers on the horizon that they're going to be adding, or they're on track to add. Hopefully, I knock on wood here. Hopefully that doesn't jinx it. But let's talk about the transfers coming, because I do think that Colorado has done a really, really impressive job in the portal thus far, finding these hidden gems, finding these guys who were at G5, G6 programs, FCS programs, and turning them into guys who could be stars at the next level, right? I think last year, this past season, Colorado put a premium on guys who had Power 4 experience, but they didn't really do enough research on what those guys brought to the table personality-wise, and I think there was a lack of research into what those guys had accomplished at the previous stop, right? There's a reason that Deion Sanders is being so involved. Well, 2 reasons, actually. The first reason is he doesn't have cancer. He was battling cancer last offseason. Obviously, his sons were pursuing NFL careers, so there was a lot going on for him personally. But this year, he's watching the film, right? He is going through and watching and being like, okay, I like this guy. I like that guy. So without further ado, let's talk about their first portal addition, Ezra Christensen. Committed last night. He was the one where I believe he was on my initial list in December when the names started to go into the portal. And I was like, there's not a lot of great names in here, but there is one. I think I gave 4 or 5, but he was one of my first 5 transfer portal targets that the Buffs need to pursue. He's an interesting prospect at 6'2", 280 pounds. He had offers from Auburn, Baylor, Duke, Washington. Notre Dame was after him. He was first team All-Conference USA. He was credited, and I kid you not, whenever I read this the first time, I was like, is that right? He was credited with 40 pressures, 42 total tackles, and 46 sacks. So he's a guy that's going to get to the quarterback, which Colorado badly needs. They went from #1 in the Big 12 in 2024 to 13 last year. Not even 13th place, 13 sacks last year, right? They were not very good at getting to the quarterback. And that's where Ezra Christensen comes in. He's really going to be something that Colorado hasn't had, I think you could say. For the most part, I feel like Colorado's defense has been pretty straight up, right? They just be like, okay, we're lining up here, nothing too fancy. I think with Ezra Christensen, you can move him across the defensive line. PFF has him listed as an interior defensive lineman, but at 6'2", 280-ish, 285-ish, I believe is what he's listed as. He can play anywhere. I've seen him line up at the edge positions. I've seen him line up over the center. Like, he can literally do anything. And I think Colorado needs to lean on that. I think they need to embrace that and be like, you know what? We have a guy who's going to put pressure on the quarterback. We're going to put him all over the field. So that way offensive lines have to worry about stuff. And the more pressures he gets, the more sacks that other people can clean up, right? That's sort of how the defense line works at times. It's like sometimes your job is to just push the quarterback to someone else. And it seems like he's really good at that. Plus, he'll get the quarterback down a few times as well. So, Ezra Christensen, really like to get there. Another one that they got last night, and I apologize in advance. I don't want to butcher his last name. I practiced. I used a little pronunciation thing. Vili Tufua, I believe is how you say it, or Tufua. Vili T is what I'll call him. He's a guy that comes from San Jose State, all Mountain West, honorable mention, 4 sacks. I shared one of them online last night. He got to Arch Manning, nearly got him down for a safety when they played against Texas. So he's a guy that is, he's huge, 6'3", 6'4"-ish, 260 pounds. He visited Boulder, committed the day after. He's going to be a redshirt junior. Like I said, all Mountain West honorable mention, 34 tackles, 7 tackles for a loss, 3 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, a pass breakup, 11 starts. and he had 17 pressures. So Colorado's clearly bringing in guys who they think can get pressure on that quarterback. Now, I do think that some of these guys are going to have to make some position changes, beef up with Coach Swayze. That's okay. I think Colorado lacked depth. I think some of these guys that they brought in this offseason are going to be depth guys, right? Colorado got to a point last season, I keep saying last season. When I say last season, just know I meant 2025. This past season that just happened. They had, at the end there was a point where they had 3 edge rushers with Torian Carter as the lone interior lineman and defensive lineman. That is not a position you want to be in, right? Colorado was so thin. They had so many injuries, and I don't know why they had so many injuries, but they need depth. And some of these guys are going to be starters. Like I think Willie T and Ezra Christensen are both going to be either starters or key rotational pieces. And some of these guys are going to be like, hey, we need a body that we could count on. And there's nothing wrong with that because, I mean, you ran out of depth, right? You ran out of depth this past season, and it got ugly. Last commit from the night yesterday, 6'3", 312-pound offensive lineman by the name of Jose Soto. He is from Tulare, California. Shout out. It's about an hour from where I grew up. 10 starts, 66 overall grade. He was a part of that Sacramento State offense, so he knows the go-go offense, can slide in at right guard, play a little bit of everything, I would assume, but he's a guy that they needed. He has another sort of, I guess, how do I put this? He has an opportunity to be that swing man for the Colorado Buffaloes because he plays right guard, but I don't know if they're going to need him at right guard. They might need him to swing in at right tackle. They might need him to play some center. Who knows, right? They don't have a contingency plan in place that I think they're confident in for Zarian McGill, right? That's why they're going after the Cal Poly kid at center. So Soto could probably play a little bit of everything. He's a 3-star prospect. Come back from the day. He had other offers like Nevada. And was really good in high school. So excited to see what he does. It's going to be one of those things where it's like depth piece. Nothing wrong with it. Colorado's offensive line is actually, they're returning, I would say 4 of the 5 starters. They're returning Seton. Yaya, I consider him a starter at this point. Larry Johnson. And so you're returning those 3. You lose Xavier Hill, but you do possibly bring back Zarian McGill. So Colorado's in good position, better position they have been at the offensive line. So these are the transfers going. We're going to take a 5-second break, and then I'm going to talk about the transfers. Those are the transfers coming in. We're going to talk about the transfers going because they did lose an interesting name. This episode of Locked on Buffs is brought to you by our sponsors over at FanDuel. The wild card round is here, and FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. Every game day during the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action because right now, every NFL playoff game, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. Each game day, you'll see a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts. You can apply to the bets you like most. The boosts give you more juice on the bets you already like instead of forcing you to bet something new. You can make your picks, then apply your profit boost to go after even bigger payouts while the playoffs get rolling. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. Welcome back to Locked on Buffs. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow. We hit 8,000 subscribers. Grateful for that. Let's get to 9. Let's get to 10. I'm challenging myself to really lock in and get that subscriber count up even more. So if you're new to the show, say what's up in the comment section and hit that subscribe button. So that way you can stay up to date on all things Colorado Buffaloes because we're free and available wherever you get your podcast. Let's talk transfers going. The Buffs lost Carter Stottmeyer today. And to me, this signals 2 things, right? It signifies, whatever word you want to use, that they're going to be bringing in at least 1 or 2 more safeties, right? They already have Nate Mitchell from New Mexico State who's coming in, and they're linked to a couple others, which I'll get to in a little bit. But if you're Carter Stottmeyer, I think you see the writing on the wall. I was very, how do I put this? I'm well aware how Carter Stottmeyer was perceived, right? Everyone sort of pulled the essential, they essentially viewed him as a Nepo baby. And I don't think that was fair to him. I think he was a really solid player at times. I do think he had some issues. Wasn't that good in coverage. Tackling wasn't always the best. He had 9 missed tackles on the year. So it's one of those things where it's like he had some very bright moments, but I don't think he is maximizing what Colorado needed at safety, right? He was a corner at one point. I don't think he was as good as in coverage as he needed to be. They moved him to safety. Good in the run defense, right? I was impressed with his ability to help in the run defense. That being said, it wasn't always what the Buffs needed. So he's gone, which to me tells me that they're going to be bringing in a couple more guys. And so for those unaware, I'll give you guys an update. Last year he got an offer from Virginia, so we'll see. Virginia was tampering with him, and we'll see if he ends up either there or somewhere else where he gets an opportunity to sort of start at a P4 program or maybe even a Group of 5 program, Group of 6 program, and kind of be the guy. I feel like at Colorado, he was not going to be the guy this year. I feel like he was going to slide back into the rotation, and I think he saw the writing on the wall, or someone told him, like, hey, you're not going to be that guy for us anymore. So Colorado's lost 35 players to the portal. Carter is one of them. Cam Michael is another one. I'll hit on Cam Michael again. I don't think they had a vision for him. I think they found a guy who was such a freak athlete, but he was a jack of all trades, master of none type of player, at least in my opinion. I could be wrong, but that's how I saw it. Whereas like, oh, he could play running back. Oh, he could play wide receiver. Oh, he could play corner. And it's like, okay, what is he good at? And then what is a position that he could play at after the fact? Like, find his starting position. Like, if he's a running back, play him at running back, and then find a package for him on defense if you want him to be a two-way player that bad. I don't think Colorado really was able to help him figure out what he liked or what he was good at. Cooper Lovelace, offensive lineman, came in from Northwestern USC, didn't play much. Tyrekus Davis, I thought he was going to be the guy. I thought he was going to be like a sleeper for the Buffs. Didn't end up being that. Terrell Timmons is out. Kyle Carpenter's out. Nikhil Webb-Walker, beat cancer. Shout out to him. He's out. Walker Anderson, offensive lineman, out. DJ McKinney was supposed to go to Notre Dame. Something happened. I don't know what the behind the scenes chatter is. I'm guessing academics, or he got a better offer somewhere else if I had to guess. London Merritt to Clemson. I like that landing spot for him. I mean, Clemson's one of the premier programs in college football. I'm sure they paid him quite well. Brady Kopetz, tight end. Ryan Staub at quarterback. Ryan Staub, I saw an interesting list for him the other day. It was like Cincinnati, Ohio State, and Kentucky or something. So clearly Ryan Staub is trying to go prove he could play at a bigger program. I thought he was more of a G6 guy. I thought he could play 1 year at like a Fresno State or a Boise State, or maybe even an FCS program like Incarnate Word. I don't know. And then work his way up if he wanted to again. But clearly he's got other ideas. Reggie Hughes, Samuel Okunlola, Dallin Hayden, those guys are all. Reggie Hughes, I thought, would be a lot better than he was. Very disappointing, honestly. Dallin Hayden, I blame the coaches for the Dallin Hayden stuff. I thought Dallin Hayden could have been a really, really key piece at running back in the go-go offense, but he did not want to run it back for one more year. Now, that could have been Brendan Marion being like, hey, I don't think he fit, but I do think Dallin Hayden would have been a nice piece for that running back room. Sean Myers, I would have liked to see him come back because I don't know if he's going to get the opportunity he wants. I thought he came along strong at the end there. I thought he could have been a nice rotational linebacker. John Slaughter, I thought could have been a starter at safety. Didn't work out. Draylon Miller, he's going to probably end up at Baylor or another Power 4 program. Christian Hudson, again, would have liked to see him stay and develop. Obviously wasn't in the cards for him. Tafik Thomas went to Georgia Tech. Alex McPherson to Penn State. Brandon Davis-Swain and Tafik Byard both at Texas A&M. Omarion Miller at Arizona State. TJ Branch, last I saw, was visiting UCF. Jaheim Otis, probably the biggest disappointment in the portal for the Buffs last season. He ended up at Ole Miss. So good for him. Glad to see he ended up somewhere else at the P4 level. I thought he was quite disappointing, quite frankly. I thought he could be an all Big 12, borderline All-American potential, and he just doesn't seem to have that drive. And that's okay. Some people are good athletes or have talented abilities or great abilities and just don't want to put in that work. And for some guys, that's the case. We're going to take a 3-second break, 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to tell you about the names I'm hearing who could end up in Boulder. Welcome back to Locked on Buffs. Appreciate all you guys for tuning in, making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. If you're new to the show, hit that subscribe button. We're over 8,000. Want to get to 9, want to get to 10, want to keep growing the show. Let's talk who's next. The biggest name to know is Randon Fontenette. Vanderbilt transfer. The dude, a captain for a Vanderbilt team that was a playoff contender. I thought he was really productive this past season. I don't think that's a hot take by any means. 124 total tackles through 2 seasons, 13 pass deflections, 3.5 sacks, a forced fumble, interception, and a touchdown. So he has 1 year of eligibility left. He's a captain. I think I've noticed 2 things that Colorado's going after. Majority of the guys they're going after. They're going after guys who were either all conference players at G5 levels, or they're going after proven players like Randon, who's a safety at Vanderbilt, could probably be like a hybrid as well. Hybrid safety linebacker kind of guy. He's a team captain, right? They're going after leadership. I think my count is, I think they're at 4 or 5 guys who were like captains on their previous team. And when you have a team like last year's Colorado team, the 2025 team, where they had a leadership problem, where your best players, Omarion Miller, for instance, Caden Salt. Omarion Miller was late coming back from the bye week, and he was probably the best player on the team. That sets a bad precedent, because that means your best players do not care. Caden Salter, when he was benched, from what I was told, there was more going on behind the scenes, right? Caden Salter wasn't holding up his end of the bargain at all times. Plus, we heard him say, like, he had a hard time being a leader because he was benched. Like, Caden Salter is a 5th year, 6th year quarterback, whatever he was. And the only way he could figure out how to lead was if he was a starting quarterback and if he was playing well. So the guys that Colorado relied on to lead were not able to do just that. And that's unfortunate. Boo Carter is another name to watch. If I had to guess, if you told me to pick Randon or Boo, like who's going to end up in Boulder, I'd probably pick, as I take a dramatic deep breath, I would probably pick Randon. I would. I think Boo Carter, he's entertaining other programs as he has the right to do. Vanderbilt is close to home for him. So if he wants to stay in Tennessee, which he has already, instead of going to Colorado, that wouldn't shock me. But Boo Carter is still in the cards. There's a possibility where they get both, and there's a possibility where they get one of them. And if I had to pick one of them, I would probably go with Randon, simply due to the leadership stuff. I think Boo Carter is a great athlete. I think he has potential to be a great player. Is he mature enough to be what Colorado needs? I don't know. Right. There was a lot of, he was essentially kicked off the team at Tennessee. Does Colorado need a guy like that in the locker room? I don't know. Right. Can they hone him in? I don't know. Then there's also the USC transfer at linebacker. He's a guy, like, let's just be real. He's not a proven productive player, but he's a guy that I think Colorado could benefit from. I think he's someone from a 4-star recruit, Matai Tagoa, I believe is how you say it. I'm probably butchering that. He had 4 total tackles. He's a guy that I think is a long-term project for the Buffs. But you have a really good linebacker core. You have Leona Lafau. You have ESPN Lempron. You have a couple other linebacker guys coming in as well. Like, Colorado is doing well at the linebacker position, but it doesn't hurt to have a hybrid guy. And I think that's where he would come into place. And so those are the names I would look out for if I were you. Colorado's been quite active in the portal this offseason. I like it. I love what I'm seeing from them, and we'll be keeping you guys updated every step of the way. So I appreciate all you guys for tuning in, even on a Saturday, making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow, and I will see you guys on Monday with the latest. Unless something crazy happens tomorrow, then I'll be back tomorrow. That's what I do over here on Locked on Buffs. So subscribe so you don't miss out. I'm Kevin Borba.